United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so our Jefferson County Local Development Corporation meeting is called to order April 7th, 2022. We're going to do some good business today. We've got the proud flag. Privilege of the floor. There don't appear to be guests. So we can move to the minutes of our prior meeting, which is still on page 3 of our packet, from March 3rd. If there are any comments, or we can have a motion to accept. Okay, first, any second for accepting?
Second.
Bill, second. Okay, all in favor, aye? Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Treasurer's report, which starts on page 25 for actually March. February, which was there for reference, was 6 through 24. And then we're also going to move the discussion of the proposed budget, which is on new page 51, up to the end of the treasurer's report, if everybody can follow that. So, Paul?
Well, I'm going to be extremely brief. If you've looked at the reports submitted this month, you'll see that now the conversion has taken place, and it's a little confusing with the current month because it brought everything forward. I sat down with Lyle yesterday and we went through things. There seems to be nothing out of the ordinary for the month. All the programs are in line with expectations. Receivables, we still only, no one's more than 30 days out for being late. And I think that was pretty much it, other than next month we'll be able to see how we're doing as it compares to a 12-month budget and the confusion of having that stub period including in it. And I think we'll be able to take a better look at it where we are with our expectations for the year. And that's all I have, other than we have the budget that has to be adopted today. And you'll see on that it has what we proposed for the 15-month budget, and it shows what the stub period budget is and what the 12-month budget is. So we'll be able to next month look at where we are, as I said earlier. So that's my treasurer's report, and we'll have to have a motion and a second after we approve the treasurer's report to approve the 15-month budget. So with that, I move the treasurer's report.
Okay, do you have a second on the treasurer's report?
I'll second.
Robert, Bill. You can choose. And any discussion on the treasurer's report? Okay, no discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, the treasurer's report passes. As Paul indicated, on page 51, we have the 15-month budget, which is really just an additional 3 because the prior 12 was approved. So while I think it's fair to characterize, we're only approving the 3-month stub budget. The prior 12 was already approved, or
Well,
you want
no,
to count this 15
I've
months?
made some changes.
Okay.
And cleaned up some stuff, some errors and so on. So I would like to have this budget
Okay.
approved.
Could you potentially outline for us the changes and as brief?
They were simply corrections
Okay.
to the thing, minor stuff,
Okay,
but I do need this approved. We have to resubmit to the state,
okay.
and I believe we should have it approved.
So I guess there's 2 parts then. Some minor changes to the prior approved 12-month budget, and then the appending of 3-month stub budget. Is that
That's good.
what we're approving?
Yes.
Okay.
This will be our 15-month budget, which will be submitted to the state, and we'll have to get it into the system as well.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the slightly modified 12-month budget and the 3-month stub budget?
I would move that.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Kent, what's the second?
Yes.
Okay, any discussion or questions for Lyle? Since you're the only one that can probably answer those questions at this moment.
Well, this conversion has been a nightmare pretty much.
Yeah. I think the simple question is what we had talked about was the stub budget was just linear, 12 divided by 3 equals 1 month, right? Or excuse me, I
Yeah.
said that wrong, but The point, you made it linear, you made it the same.
Yes.
Each month is the same as the prior 12, okay. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, the 15-month budget, including the changes to the prior 12 months is approved. Okay, moving to, Dave, a question. Do you want to move the loan review to the IDA? Because there really was no action.
It was all the
LDC.
actions were taken in the IDA.
So we're gonna move the loan review committee report for LDC into the IDA because that's where action was taken. So that was page 41. Now we can skip council reports. We start with Mr. J. Ag development, if you may.
Sure. Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I will be brief. We have the, don't get me wrong. We have the Ag Development Conference tomorrow. I hope that those that can attend will, because it's going to be a great program. We have, in fact, I have the report right here that I cannot hand out because he's embargoed it until tomorrow. But this is an economic impact analysis for agriculture in Jefferson, Lewis, Oswego, and St. Lawrence counties. We made the request for this to be done of Dr. Todd Smith from Cornell University. I will tell you that the results are very more than I expected as far as the impact for agriculture in the 4 counties. It will be a useful tool for us in the work that we do to talk about agriculture, to promote agriculture, and also grant applications and so on. We've reached out to all of the counties and invited officials from those counties to attend. We're not getting a huge response that way, but there are some people coming from other counties. So that's Dr. Todd Smith. The second speaker will be former New York State Senator Kathy Young. She was chair of the Senate Ag Committee for many years. She's now the director for the Center for Excellence for Food and Agriculture. She's going to be talking about about the center, the work that they do, and also incorporating the trends that she's seeing across New York State as far as food production and agriculture goes. Then after lunch, our keynote speaker is flying in today, hopefully. I'm a little bit nervous. And she will be talking about farmers of the future. This will be a very interesting program. We have people coming in that have seen this program a couple of years ago, and they want to see how it compares now to what they did then. And basically what it does is it looks at what farmers will have to be like in 2040, and the skill sets they're going to need to be able to be competitive and sustain their operations, and how we as agencies that serve agriculture need to be prepared for it. So I think it's going to be very interesting. Might upset a few people with the message that gets delivered. But anyways, that's the Ag Conference. We're also going to be recognizing the chairpersons for the last 20 years of the Ag Development Corporation and now Council. We'll be doing that at lunchtime. And so I'm excited about, not quite ready yet, but I will be by tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, I think. Yes.
Were you able to reach full capacity? I noticed when I signed up, you only could take so many people. I'm just curious on the pre-attendance.
Yeah, I haven't checked the numbers this morning, but we are very close. But you know, I'll get full sign up and then people don't show up. So I'm not worried. We'll be very close, and they can accommodate a few more than the 105 that they tell me they can accommodate. I've had them roll tables in before during the conference. So
Awesome. Thanks.
yeah, thank you. The other thing is as you heard in the press, thanks to Watertown Daily Times, the CWT Farms will be making an official announcement on Monday about the status of the project. I do expect that to be favorable. I have not gotten any indication otherwise, but that's not a definite answer yet. But we're very excited that that is moving along. The food resiliency grant programs, we're getting in quite a few applications. There's a lot of different projects. The interesting part, and I don't know if Ed Waldrop is online or doesn't look like it. All three of our our custom meat processing facilities here in Jefferson County we've met with them multiple times. We're working with them to get applications in. Between our office and Cornell Cooperative Extension, we've really been pushing for those meat processors to take advantage of this. We have a couple dairy processing proposals, I believe, that will come in, and we've got several other local food category requests for funding coming in. So that's going to keep us busy. The deadline for applications is April 15th. So that is rolling up here pretty quick. As soon as the ag conference is done, we start getting ready for dairy parade. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Jay?
Just one, when that closes on April 15th, can you just send the board out a quick, this is what the proposals are, not the complete packages, but just a synopsis of what we'll be looking at?
Sure, yes. I'll do that, and Cornell Cooperative Extension and myself will be evaluating those proposals and providing a ranking system from us to you to help in that decision-making
And then the
process.
meat processors, is that trying to get them to work together to get USDA approval so they can?
Not necessarily to work together, but to help each of those processors. Two of them do want to go USDA. The third is brand new. We didn't even know they existed a month and a half ago. They will probably stay as a custom processor for a while, which is fine. They're still helping take care of some of the log jam that the farms are experiencing.
No, but to be USDA, they have to have a vet, correct?
Yes. There has to be a USDA inspector, and there's a veterinarian involved too. I think, don't quote me, but I think they can share the veterinarian, but they do have to have their own inspector when they are harvesting animals. It's during the harvest that there has to be somebody on premises.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
And I would love a copy of that report, the economic impact statement, whenever the embargo thaws out.
We can take care of that. Yes, absolutely.
Right after the session tomorrow.
Dave, anything on manufacturing? I'm sure
Just,
there is.
that we held March 24th, we co-hosted the manufacturing forum for Jefferson, Lewis counties with our counterparts in Lewis County. Great attendance, had about 50 people there. Good discussion, a lot of educators, some of our manufacturers there from both counties. Marshall and I, we just had a conference call with the Lewis County folks and workforce development folks. Since a lot of the focus was on workforce development, and we kind of went over the notes yesterday, started to work on some next steps and proceeding with some of those recommendations. The ideas are things we're already working on, but there's also some new ones, and reinforces the importance of and tweaking some of the things that we're doing as well.
Okay.
So more to come.
Anything, questions for manufacturing? Move to marketing.
Yes, I wanted to mention, I don't know if everybody saw it or not, that the little thing on NPR that they had regarding our childcare initiative, which was a great piece. It was about a 5-minute long interview. I don't even know how to describe it. They were describing the program. It was just a really great piece, talking about all the things that we did for the in-home childcare, and how we're working hard at that. I will send it out to everyone so that they can see it. Went to the planning board meeting for Commvault on Tuesday evening, and that went very well. The board chair went so far as to say that the project was coming along nicely, which is high praise.
Hounsfield Planning Board?
Town of Hounsfield, yep. And importantly, one thing that I was really pleased about, the folks that live across the street from the project, when they first stood up, I was prepared for them to not be pleased, which I would understand. For 35 years, you look out your front window and you see a field and now you're gonna see a building. I get it. But they got some interesting questions and they're not standing against the project. The gentleman said that he was in manufacturing for 30 years and he wasn't gonna stand in the way of progress. And I thought that in Craig's piece about it was great. And, I was really pleased about that because, I understand how people can take these things. So just wanted to mention those couple of
Very
things.
good.
And just to follow up on Commvault, I attended the General Brown's School District Board meeting last night and they approved the pilot. as well.
Fantastic.
So one more to go, that's with Town Council
All
next
right,
week.
we're checking the boxes as we go. Any questions for marketing or any unfinished business?
I believe I listened to that piece as well from NPR. I thought Dave may have sent that link, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did.
I think so too.
I sent it with
I think
the resolution for the
I kind of saw the
child.
headline
Yeah.
that Jefferson and Lewis are the only ones that grew in all of New York State
Yeah.
as the byproduct of that. So congratulations.
Really good, and I'm glad to hear about Commvault. I drive by there twice a day back and forth to work, and there was a lot of looky-loos checking out the trees going down, so it's good to hear that there's a lot of support there.
Justin, nothing from council for this meeting?
No report.
Okay, I didn't think there would be. Dave, next one on the agenda, I think it's blank because you don't have the agreement yet. Jefferson County ARPA fund contract, if you want to just give us an update on that.
Yeah, so these next two tie together. So, the county passed a resolution to enter the agreement with the IDA and then subcontract to the LDC. And they weren't able to get the contract to us yet in time, but we were anticipating it in time for this board. Things got delayed, but in the meantime, CAPC has gone ahead to line up some of the reimbursements due to some of the daycare providers. So I'm going to ask for a resolution to advance $67,000 to them because they're doing this on a quarterly basis. So for this first quarter, they'd be making $67,000 in payment this month for retention and new staffing positions and daycare services. But before we do that, we should have approved the contract with CAPC first. So.
So we actually have two documents in our packet, and I'm not going to try to attempt to, it was page 47. I don't think it is anymore. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's the grant agreement, which Dave's talking about. And there's a one-page resolution, which is not page numbered. That was given to us this morning, I think, on the table, which we'll act on that after we have some discussion and movement on the agreement itself. So as Dave indicated, the agreement lays out what the program is for, there's a scope of work. It's a $67,000 commitment, predominantly based on home-based daycare, center-based staff retention, staffing grants, and administrative and indirect costs, which we're only sharing a portion of this. I think in total, it was like 600 something thousand.
700 something.
700 something thousand.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty significant investment into something our county and Lewis County are doing currently much better than the whole rest of the state. And we'll continue on with that investment into really supporting manufacturing, because if you can't have your children cared for, it's kind of hard to promote manufacturing jobs and growing in the marketplace. And this is also a business opportunity for individuals to actually take on being child care professionals. So good program is three pages, and it's an agreement between the LDC, Community Action Planning Council of Jefferson County, for the support of child care sector in Jefferson County. And let's see, it's not a resolution, so I'm not going to really read all the whereases. We've already talked about it. It's for it's a $774,000 grant ultimately, which most of it will be coming from the county of Jefferson through the LDC, and this is essentially a flow-through program with ourselves. So is there a motion to accept the agreement, and then we can discuss it further if we need to?
I'll move it.
Okay, Dave Converse made a motion, second from Bill. Any discussion on this agreement, what it's for, what the money is, where it's coming from? Okay. So with that, we have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The agreement carries. And with that, we'll move directly into, there is a resolution that was put into our board packet to allow us to actually advance some funds. So it's LDC resolution number 04.07.2022.01, resolution to advance funds to the Community Action Planning Council of Jefferson County for the expansion of childcare services. And as Dave indicated, there is a resolution at the Board of Legislators for the County of Jefferson where money is being set aside to flow through our agency to fund this grant. But because of timing issues, we actually have to essentially create a bridge loan of $67,000 to fund the money ahead of receiving the full grant from the County of Jefferson. So whereas the CAPC must make certain distributions in the month of April 2022 associated with its contractual obligation to the JCLDC totaling $67,000. So this resolution will allow us to advance $67,000 in advance of receiving a grant from the County of Jefferson. So,
I'll move the resolution.
okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Greg, second. Any discussion further on this resolution? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the resolution carries. We already did our, did we do the 15? Yeah, we already did the 15-month budget. We moved that. Any other discussion we've missed or an adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Okay?
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
This meeting stands adjourned, and we'll move directly into other great business we're going to do today. The JCIDA, thanks.
I'm gonna.
See, Greg.
Thanks,
See,
Greg.
Greg.
JCIDA,
Don't take my cheese.
moves it?
Do we know?
April 7th, 2022, board meeting is called to order. We already did our pledge. And is there any guests still privileged of the floor? Okay, no privilege, or excuse me, no comments. Minutes, page 3.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Okay, a first, a second to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Any comments? Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Minutes passed. Treasurer's report, again, same thing, page 6 through 20 for the February report, so we can make sense of the March report, which actually starts on page 25. And then we'll also move that 15-month budget up just like the prior meeting. So Paul, I think you're on page 25 is the March discussion.
Pretty much the same comments as before on that we're going to finally see next month a 12-month budget, and it'll be easier to make some of the projections where we stand in the budget. But there are two notable things. Current application has paid off their loan of $101,000+ that was issued in April of 15. That's been paid off, which is good news. And Lyle's little attempt to generate some money from some of our micro loans, we had one that was in default actually made a small payment after a demand letter. So that was good news. And I don't know what was in the packets, but the final numbers are in for the Arsenal Street abatement. And the total was $2,540,000, $20.96. So just a little under $60,000 less than what our total appropriations were. So with that, I move the treasurer's report, and if I can answer any questions, Lyle's here.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any discussion on the treasurer's report? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Report passes.
And I would move so we can get it to discussion.
Page 69 is the revised 15-month
Month,
budget.
I would move that and request a second, and if there's questions, we
Okay,
can.
we have a first from Paul, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Dave, second. Any discussion? Well, I'll ask the same question that you already answered, but same process. You corrected the 12-month, maybe minor
Yes.
modifications, and then just linearly added on 3 months.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's all we're looking at. Any other discussion? Or dumb questions, like mine? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. The budget carries, revised budget carries, excuse me. Page 40, which is now 43, the alternative energy meeting, Paul.
We've had, since our last meeting, we've had 2 meetings with the 2 utility scale projects that are, well, one is proposed, one's still in development. We met with EDF Renewables, which is in Orleans and Clayton. It was a very interesting meeting. They are in the ORES, or the state siting process. Their application is deemed incomplete for the second time. And what that means is they get a list of deficiencies, and the list is much smaller. So they expect within the next 2 to 3 months that they'll submit that information and get a complete application. And we talked about various things in process, and it was my suggestion that they hold off making an application until after they have a complete application deemed by the state before we even start to talk to them. And then after it's deemed complete, there's a 60-day period that the state has to say, okay, we're denying your project, or we're going to issue permit conditions. And then a whole bunch of hearings take place. So at some point, we have to decide as a board, can we even start to negotiate till we know what the draft permit conditions are? Because how do you hold a public hearing where to grant a pilot and expect people to make competent comments until you know what exactly they're permitting? So that's something we're going to have to decide on, how we proceed when we actually get an application for one of the large scale ones. So that was EDF. We also met with Borrego, which has a project on in Rutland and the town of Watertown, top of State Street Hill. That is very preliminary. They have not submitted an application to the state yet, and they were looking at 24, 25 as the years where they might enter into construction. They're expecting a 12-month to an 18-month review process to get to a complete application. So they're out there a ways. And this was really part of their pre-application requirement to meet with involved agencies. And that's pretty much all we've done since then.
About Borlex, is they're at their,
Borlex, we haven't met with them, but if you check the state site, their application has been deemed complete. And I don't know if you've heard from them since that. So they're now in that 60-day window waiting for permit conditions. There's some issues there where they've asked for some significant alteration to the town zoning ordinance, which the state can override the local zoning, mostly about lot coverage. But I have no idea what the state's going to determine with that. That could be a bone of contention.
So when we get talking pilots, I mean, these are all deviations, so all the municipalities are gonna have to buy into this. Are our municipalities, I mean, I know the county originally had stated, you know, for this, we're going full taxation. Are we
still there.
still there?
Well, we also pointed out to EDF that we expect the negotiations to be all-inclusive, where we don't want them out negotiating with the school and the county and everybody separately, that we're going to have everybody involved, especially if there's host community agreements. That was a bone of contention with another project, that it was negotiated unilaterally, as you recall. So they were okay with that. The negotiations, they expect them to be with all the jurisdictions in the room. So
We got some work to do.
Well,
And,
we pointed out some of the concerns that we've heard from schools
Yeah.
about the impact of the tax cap calculations at the end of the pilot that gives them significant pause.
Okay. And Dave Zembiak, since these are all deviations and they really suspect we're gonna have a fair amount of work, at what point do we put that escrow agreement in front to collect money like we did on one prior job? These are all, my opinion, gonna take a
Yeah, we may,
lot of
because
effort.
this, yeah, you're right. I mean, that, for these projects, because they are so large, it's probably something that we should,
I mean, I think this is almost
Yeah.
like pre-application collect money. 'Cause We're
Yeah.
doing a lot of work now to get things set up so they can run smoothly. And I don't think the county of Jefferson should pay for it, my opinion, but I'm only one voice.
we'll probably just gotta come back maybe.
Just saying, you can talk
Yeah.
with Justin about how this would look.
Yeah, we'll talk
Because
to Justin.
pre-application's kind of more
Yeah.
difficult, but I mean, Town of Henderson has something called the developers agreement. That if you want to come talk about doing a development, we need some money up front so we can start doing our due diligence. So there's ways of doing that.
Yep. We'll talk, we'll talk to Justin, we'll talk to others, we'll bring back the energy committee.
Okay.
recommendation.
Any questions for Energy Committee? And I know Kent, I want to get to you so you can get off and get on your day.
No problem.
Okay, so Building and Grounds, do you have anything you want to update us on?
Two items. The YMCA is still in the process of finalizing the cost saving design changes. The second one is there's an item on the agenda for proposing to extend the ground lease till June. And what that will do is allow us to give us more time to negotiate amendment to the ground lease once the Y has its final guaranteed maximum price.
Okay. And I think Dave Zembiak, I don't want to skip too far ahead, but you had said they're supposed to have their budgeting sort of around 10 or 11. Well, actually, the 10th is a Sunday, so maybe 11.
Originally, they were expecting it, but then, right now, they're looking at, which actually works out better, that they're looking at having that guaranteed maximum price back by the last week, around the April 26th, that last week of April,
Okay,
which actually works out well for going back to speak to the county,
Okay.
because, they need to go back to, they want to come back to the county with a firmer number, what they actually need, what the gap
Okay.
is, and that'll tell them.
okay. Yeah, so that was the reason we're talking about moving it to June, because the Y won't know its pricing until somewhere in April. We don't have time in May to actually take the appropriate action, because we wouldn't have been done the due diligence, so we pushed it to June, so we can kind of just have ourselves some time.
Kent, what type of alterations to the ground lease are we thinking about?
Well,
Time.
well, the original.
If we
ground-
can't talk about it in open
No, we can't,
session.
no, I mean, think like the original ground lease did not include the additional area for the pool, for example.
Okay,
The additional, ground,
Gotcha.
the original ground lease did not include any conditions related to the generator that's outside the building.
Okay.
We want them.
When you say the additional area, that like couple 100 foot.
For the, that were
whatever it is
required
we
the city,
had to
yeah,
get seeded
where
for
the pool,
city.
where the pool's going.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's a couple things that, and then we, if they wanted to, to come back with.
Okay,
any-
that's
So
not
it's
a problem.
footprint and
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
It's the footprint and the time.
Yes.
Are the main changes. Okay. Anything else, Ken?
No, that's it.
Okay. Any questions for Building and Grounds? All right, we will move on. Mr. Converse, loan review.
Loan review met last week. We had a request from RBM Manufacturing Corporation, which is the running board's marketing. It's a request for a 6-month period of interest only, payments retroactive back to March 1st of 2022. With that, they adjust the amortization schedule, adding these 6 months to the end of the loan. What has happened between Mr. McNeely and his wife both having COVID and unable to get trucks over the last year has really kind of put him behind a little bit. They state that going forward, he's looking at adding quite a few new contracts and new franchises, and things look promising. It's just time. Everybody that's in business is seeing this. So, if COVID has hit us and then we turn around and, our supply chain is just unbelievable.
I mentioned, he supplied a list of his franchises, and I told the story that I was down in Florida, and we went to a restaurant, and they had a business paper there, and they had advertisements for running boards down by Daytona.
Yeah.
So and then I guess he told you that he does have a new franchise. I'd move the resolution for RBM.
I didn't read that. I'll
Okay, come back.
I'll save that.
And I'll second it. Now you can read it.
I'll read it.
Sorry, Rob.
No problem. We have a resolution number 04.07.2022.01, resolution for authorizing modification to the revolving loan to RBM Manufacturing Corp. Whereas RBM Manufacturing Corp has requested a 6-month period of interest only, payments effective March 1, 2022, and an adjustment to the amortization schedule, adding those 6 months to the end of the loan. The current balance on the 400,000 loan is 391,391.11 as of February 28, 2022. What was not here, but it was in our working papers, is we're not changing the ultimate term except for the 6-month extension or the original interest value, which was on here. So with that, I'm going to ask for a first and a second. We have Paul first, and Dave, I think, was the second. I'm clairvoyant here. Any discussion on this resolution? Okay, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the resolution will carry. Dave, I think there was another action, right?
Commvault Energy, as everyone knows, has their proposal out in our airport park. They're moving ahead. They've got equipment coming in from across the country, and they've requested a loan from us to help offset that. And did we? I'm trying to remember if we
Here's the data.
Did we do-
need it.
Yeah, but did we do the 850? We
It's
went with
850.
Yeah, we said 850, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's 850,000. I know there was originally, we were talking about 750.
It was a
and then
range, yeah.
Then we pushed it up to the 850. So we have a resolution to upfront them an $850,000 loan towards the project.
And I think just to add, it's in combination with 3 other agencies.
Yeah, well, this is what
Yeah.
this will give us time for the other agencies to review and make their commitments, and then we can adjust ours back down as appropriate to hit that 1.25. So that's why it's only 6 months only. It just gives them time to get the other agencies on board and then do the master permanent loan.
You done with the?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the committee report. We'll get into the resolution and the commitment letter, and then we can add some. So we have another resolution, page 58 of our packet. Jefferson County Industrial Development Authority Resolution number 04.07.2022.02, resolution for authorizing the revolving bridge loan to Commvault Energy, Inc. Whereas on March 30th, 2022, the JCIDA Loan Review Committee recommended an $850,000 bridge loan to Commvault Energy, Inc. for working capital to help cover the cost of transporting equipment from Oregon to Watertown, New York, and other miscellaneous expenses. The equipment will be used in a proposed 315,000 square foot facility adjacent to the Watertown International Airport, where it will manufacture solar panels under its subsidiary, Commvault Manufacturing LLC. Whereas the JCIDA anticipates other economic development agencies to participate in a longer-term 7-year loan totaling $1,250,000. This 850 is amortized over 7 years, 3% interest. And it's a bridge loan. And we'll get into the other aspects of the project, I think, in future meetings. This is just the starting point. So with that, we've read the resolution. Do we have a first to?
I'll move it.
Move it. Dave Converse, a second. You missed it.
Huh? I
Bill.
learned my lesson. Rob.
Any discussion? Any discussion on the resolution? Okay, with that, all in favor, please. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the resolution carries for, again, some good work here to move this bridge along. We have a couple matters under unfinished business, and one of them is for work that we had prior done we had a timing limit to remove some trees. Was it before April 1, Dave?
Before April 1, the last day you could remove
Okay.
is March 31st.
So we actually needed to act quickly because of environmental reasons to remove some trees at the building site of the proposed manufacturing facility, our business complex at the Watertown International Airport. Dave Zembiak has passed along to us the actual value that we need to do here. Now, was this modified? You sent an email. I thought there was like an addition to this.
Yeah, no, that's the final version, yes.
That's the total.
Yep.
The 26,500.
Oh, you got the one, sorry.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out.
42.5,
Like,
42.5.
okay, because I didn't follow the bouncing ball. I probably have the wrong resolution.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't find it. Oh, that's what I was. I probably didn't have that in my board pack. Okay, so new page 64 of our board packet. We have Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency Resolution Number 04.07.2022.03, ratify selection of Black River Tree Removal LLC for tree clearing at the business complex at Watertown International. As we discussed, we own 88 acres at the complex. Due to environmental reasons that we have to remove trees prior to April 1 and no earlier than October 31st. This was required for the building site to be ready this year. We hired Black River Tree Removal to do this work, and because of the timing issue, we have to ratify the resolution after the fact. We couldn't have a special meeting for just this. So the agency board of directors ratifies selection of Black River Tree Removal to remove the identified trees for a total of 42,500. As indicated and as described in our board packet. So do we have a first to accept this resolution?
I'll move it.
Okay, a second?
Yes.
Paul, second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Okay, good. So we will move on to ground lease extension. Page 67. So we have the third amendment to lease. Okay. And Dave Zembiak, I didn't really study this too carefully. This is just essentially expanding the time and expanding the original footprint. That's all this is.
Yeah,
doing.
just basically extending the time, no other changes until.
And as we discussed, because they don't have their final fixed cost, we can't really move the project forward until probably about our June board meeting.
Yeah.
So we need to have time.
Yeah.
The ground lease would have expired on 30 April or 30 March?
It would have expired 15th of April.
15th April, okay, so it has not expired yet.
Right.
Okay. Because Dave and I had to talk about this, we knew there were some timing issues and so we have to take this action to just have the lease carry on with a different ground description and a different duration so that we can affect eventually the actual project that is much awaited and greatly anticipated. So page 67, third amendment to lease. I'm not really going to read this,
Oh, come on.
but it's pretty long. In essence, we're changing the footprint and the duration. I think what I'm going to ask for is a roll call vote on this, if that's okay. I don't know if you're prepared for that. You're always prepared.
Ready to
Gotta
go.
have a first and a second.
Okay, let's have a first and a second on the lease before we,
Yes.
okay, Paul,
Yes.
thank you. And then we can have any further discussion before we take a roll call vote. Okay, Heidi, please.
John is absent. Dave?
Yes.
Ed is absent. Paul?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Lisa? Yes. Rob?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution, or the amendment carries, excuse me. New business, we already discussed the County of Jefferson ARPA fund contract, just a timing. We'll probably see something at our next meeting or.
I believe so,
after.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
They were close, they're just gonna get it finished in time for today.
the Board of Legislators did act their resolution. We just don't have all the paperwork to discuss that further. And those funds are being utilized for various programs that we already discussed. We already did the 15-month budget, so we can skip to page 70, which is CWG Farms. And what we have is our project authorizing resolution. Resolution number 04.07.2022.04. Resolution of the Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency appointing CWG Farms International, Inc. for itself and/or on behalf of one or more of its entities to be formed collectively as a company as its agent to undertake a certain project as more fully described below, authorizing the execution and delivery of an agent agreement, leaseback agreement, payment in lieu of tax agreement, and related documents with respect to the project, authorizing the provision of certain financial assistance to the company, as further defined herein, adopting findings with respect to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and authorizing the execution of related documents with respect to the project. The third whereas clause on page 70 also describes the land, which is 20835 Alexander Drive in the town of Watertown, and it gives the lot number and more particulars about the project. Justin, I kind of skipped, if you had anything besides what I've read that you want to add on this particular project?
Nothing specific.
Okay.
This is, path we're taking on this one, this is just the project authorizing resolution for the expanded project. They increased the square footage and using a little bit more land up in the ag park. So it sounds like they're finalized on their plans and ready to proceed with construction, I assume, starting this summer.
Very good. And contained in the packet is the public hearing, the seeker, so everything is in here as a full packet. We talked about the project quite a bit. So read the resolution. Do we have a first
Yes.
to accept it? Paul, a second.
Second.
Bill, any further discussion on the resolution? Okay, this is a roll call vote also, please.
Rob,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
John is absent, Bill,
Yes.
Lisa? Yes. Ed is absent, Paul?
Yes.
Okay, the resolution does carry.
And I think in the earlier meeting, Jay did point out we have elevations of the project over here.
Very nice. Very nice. Page 89 of our packet is a resolution for Oya Ellisburg Soya LLC, excuse me. Oya, not soya, excuse me. I don't know where soya came from. Project authorizing resolution, Oya Ellisburg Solar LLC. And before I read all the whereas and everything, Justin, do you have anything to contribute into this particular resolution before we read it?
No, nothing out of the ordinary. These two projects are tracking at the same time and are, I think, ready to proceed to a closing in the near term as well.
Okay. So we have resolution 04.07/2022.05, resolution of the Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency appointing Hoya Ellisburg Solar LLC for itself and or on behalf of an entity or entities to form collectively the company and its agent to undertake a certain project as more fully described below. Authorizing the execution and delivery of a lease agreement, leaseback agreement, payment in lieu of tax agreement, and related documents with respect to the project. Authorizing the provision of certain financial assistance to the company as further defined herein, and authorizing the execution of related documents with respect to the project. Second whereas clause on page 76 again identifies the location as 30 acres of real property located at 13624 County Route 91, Town of Ellisburg, and then it gives a tax parcel, and this is for a 5 megawatt AC PV solar electrical generation facility. This is our authorizing resolution. So with that, do we have a first to accept the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We got, Peggy, you can choose. Bill's a first, Dave's a second. Sorry, Lisa. You jumped in too late on that one. Everybody was fighting for this one. So with that, a discussion, any discussion? Okay, this is also a roll call vote, please.
Rob,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
John is absent, Bill,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Ed is absent, Paul.
Yes.
Okay, this resolution also carries. Our next resolution is page 102. Project authorizing resolution for Oil Lane Road LLC project. Justin, I think you already gave us nothing to add on this one either.
Yeah, nothing to add here.
Okay.
Same staff.
Just making sure. Resolution number 04.07.2022.06. Resolution of the Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency appointing Oil Lane Road LLC for itself and or on behalf of an entity or entities to be formed collectively the company as its agent to undertake a certain project as more fully described below, authorizing the execution and delivery of a lease agreement, lease back agreement, payment in lieu of tax agreement and related documents with respect to the project, authorizing the provision of certain financial assistance to the company as further defined herein, and authorizing the execution of related documents with respect to the project. The second whereas clause is Oil Lane Road LLC, is further describing the land as 20 acres of real property located at 22106 Lane Road in the town of Amelia. And it is a 3.1 megawatt AC PV solar electrical generation facility. With that, do we have a first?
Yes.
Paul, a second?
Lisa.
Yes.
Okay, Lisa, I'll get you on the record here. So we have a first and we have a first and a second. Any discussion on this resolution? Okay, this is also a roll call vote.
Rob,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
John is absent, Bill,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Ed is absent, Paul.
Yes.
Okay, Justin, was there anything under council that you needed to add since we're under council section?
Thing new to report, I think Dave's covered everything with regard to the why and other open items, so I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, we have some work on those, but they're progressing forward.
No.
That's good. Okay,
Let's wait
thank
and
you.
see how the state. handles it
Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this meeting stands adjourned and there is no alphabet meeting, right? CFDC,
Not this
ABC.